Now, let's focus on the transition that happens in the last two phrases of the surah. The ayah ends with, they encourage one another towards the truth, and they encourage one another towards patience. I want us to pause here and recognize the shift that's taking place. Think about it. Where does faith live? Inside the heart. A person could be stranded alone on an island and still believe. Could they also perform good deeds alone? Absolutely. They can pray, eat halal, show gratitude, and carry out acts of worship. In that sense, faith, Iman, and good deeds, Amal Salih, are largely individual responsibilities. Yes, they gain strength when done together in community. But at the end of the day, my faith belongs to me, and yours belongs to you. My deeds are mine, and your deeds are yours. Each of us is accountable for our own actions. But then, notice what happens in these last two phrases. Allah mentions something that can never be done individually. They counsel one another. The very wording in Arabic implies mutual exchange. It requires more than one person. Unlike Iman and good deeds, this part is not about what you can do alone. It's about what you can only do with others. Half of this ayah is about personal responsibility, but the other half is about collective responsibility. And what does that teach us? Allah is telling us that all of humanity is drowning in loss. The only way to save ourselves is not just by saying, at least I have faith, at least I'm doing good things. If that was enough, the surah would have stopped there, but it doesn't. It goes further. They counsel one another to truth, and they counsel one another to patience. That means unless I am concerned for others, helping them, guiding them, supporting them, I have not even saved myself. If I only care about my own faith and my own deeds while ignoring the condition of others, then according to the surah, I am still in loss. That's a very powerful reality. Scholars like Imam Razi point this out clearly. A human being is responsible individually for their faith and good deeds, but collectively responsible for encouraging others towards truth and patience. The phrase itself, one another, makes it impossible to limit this to the individual. It's inherently communal. So what does that mean for us? It means the Qur'an calls us to balance. Part of our focus must remain on ourselves, but part must also extend outward towards others. If someone is always absorbing community work, dawah programs, Islamic events, handing out pamphlets, but neglects their own spiritual growth, they're missing half of the picture. And likewise, if someone is only focused inwardly, concerned with their own worship and private deeds, but has no concern for their community, they're also missing half of the picture. The surah reminds us, survival and success lie in both personal responsibility and collective responsibility. Now, here's something important to reflect on. When people focus only on others, they often begin to lose their own spiritual strength. Their concern is always outward, and they neglect their inner state. On the other hand, some people take the opposite extreme. They turn completely inward. They say, my Iman is so weak. I just need to pray, recite Qur'an, memorize, make Umrah, maybe do multiple Hajj. But I don't want to deal with anyone else. I just want to focus on saving myself. So you end up with two extremes. Those who live only for others, and those who live only for themselves. But what does this surah do? It balances both. Half of it is about you, and half of it is about others. And the two are inseparable. Now, of course, in theory that sounds nice, but in practice it's very hard to keep the balance perfectly. Sometimes you'll lean more towards yourself, sometimes more towards others. The question is, how do you keep from completely losing that balance? For example, if you're doing a lot of speaking, teaching, or dawah work, things are always focused on others. How do you make sure you don't neglect your own spiritual growth? The beauty of this surah is that it gives us the answer. Allah didn't just say Iman, faith, is for you, and Tavav, mutual counsel, is for others. By using the word Tavav, which means they counsel one another, Allah built in the idea of reciprocity. Even when you're guiding others, you're also opening the door for them to guide you. You place yourself in circles where you benefit others, and they, in turn, benefit you. That way, your Iman stays alive, your salah stays meaningful, and your balance is maintained. Let me close with an illustration that really ties all of this together. Many years ago, a young man took one of my talks on Surah Al Asr and turn it into an animation. I want to revisit that imagery with you because it captures the essence of the surah. Imagine a person drowning, unconscious, unaware, with very little time left. If they don't wake up soon, they're finished. What's the very first requirement for survival? They must wake up. The surah tells us all of humanity is drowning in loss. From the very beginning, Allah swears by time. You're running out of it. The first condition to save yourself is Iman. And what is Iman in this context? It's waking up to reality, realizing that you are in loss, that your time is limited. Notice that Allah doesn't explicitly say here, believe in Allah, the messengers, the books, even though all of that is true elsewhere. But in the context of this surah, Iman begins with believing one fundamental truth. You are in loss, and you don't have much time left. If you can't accept that reality, you won't even begin the journey of saving yourself. If you don't believe you're in loss, you won't feel any urgency. But once Iman settles in, once you wake up, you realize this isn't a dream. This is real. You're drowning. You panic. How long have I been down here? How many breaths do I have left? I need to act right now. And what's the Arabic word for acting, for doing? It's amal. Now you have to act. Imagine you don't know how to swim, so you just start flailing, moving in any way you can. But every movement you make is either pulling you upward toward survival or dragging you downward toward destruction. That's the reality of deeds. Some take you closer to safety. Others only sink you deeper. So what do? You focus your energy on the movements, the deeds, that pull you up. And at this point, all of this effort is about saving yourself. You're trying to rise above the water. But as soon as you make some progress, you realize your foot is stuck. You look down, and your cousin is chained to you unconscious, just like you were. Now what? You can't rise without him. To save yourself, you have to wake him up. But he pushes your arm away. Leave me alone. I don't care. Go on without me. Or maybe he says, I'm fine where I am. Don't bother me. But here's the thing. If you give up on him, you're really giving up on yourself. So you keep shaking him, pulling him, insisting, wake up, wake up. And when he finally does wake up, he sees the same terrifying reality you saw. Now the two of you are struggling upward together. But think about it. All the effort you spent waking him up has exhausted you. You're weak. Meanwhile, he's just freshly woken up, full of energy. So as you tire, he pulls you up. And then he notices he's chained to someone else. Maybe his brother, maybe his uncle. Now it's the two of you together shaking that person awake. This process repeats. The more people are awake, the stronger the effort becomes. One person wakes another, who wakes another, until you're all pulling upward together. But none of you can give up. At times, one will say, I can't do this anymore. I'm out of breath. I'm too tired. And that's when the rest say, yes, you can. We can. We have to. There's no other choice. That perseverance, that refusal to quit, that sabr. And this entire sequence, waking up, acting, helping each other, and never giving up, is exactly what Surah Al Asr is describing. It's the Qur'an's roadmap for pulling ourselves and each other out of loss. And this, my brothers and sisters, is a struggle of our entire lives. If we don't feel the urgency of that struggle, if we fail to recognize where we are falling short, then it's all too easy to drift back into sleep. We can listen to reminders, feel moved for a moment, and then conveniently slip back into the dream of comfort. Everything's fine. Life is good. I'll worry about faith later. But the Quran paints a very different picture. It tells us of the day when people will say, who woke us up from our sleep? They thought life was play, a pleasant dream, until reality came crashing down. That awakening will be harsh, and by then it will be too late. The Quran, through Surah Al Asr, is giving us a roadmap to avoid that fate. It's telling us, wake up now before it's too late. Recognize that life is lost unless you actively fight against it. And part of that fight is asking ourselves hard questions. Who in my life is my support and faith? Who am I helping by counseling them towards truth and patience? And am I myself willing to listen when others counsel me? That honesty being open with ourselves and with each other, is not something anyone else can do for us. It's a personal responsibility. I cannot do it for you, and you cannot do it for me. Each of us must take that on individually. May Allah grant us the ability to wake up, to live with urgency, and to embody profound guidance He has given us in Surah Al Asr.